Hi guys, we want to talk about some strategies that we can use for multiplying whole numbers and decimals, and I want to show you a few different ways that we can do that today. So the first thing we want to do is read this problem here, which is multiply 5 times 2 and 5/10. And really, before we even multiply the problem, let's read the problem. In 2010, the United States Mint released a newly designed Lincoln penny. A Lincoln penny has a mass of 2.5 grams. If there are 5 Lincoln pennies on a tray, what is the total mass of the pennies? And the first thing that we really need to do is take note of the actual problem. We have a number, 2 and 5/10, and we want to find what 5 groups of that number is. So it's a multiplication problem. And when we have situations like this, word problems, the first thing we need to do is figure out what the question's asking us. So we have grouping language that's telling us we're going to group 2.5 or 2 and 5/10 5 times. So our problem is 2 times 2 and 5/10. I'm sorry, this is actually that's actually supposed to be an estimate. So let me erase that. There we go. Okay, so we can estimate this at 2.5 or 2.5 rounds up to 3, doesn't it? 2.5 rounds to 3, and 5 times 3 is 15. So we know our answer should be 15 or a little bit less than 15. So one way to solve the problem is to use the distributive property. The distributive property, remember, is where we distribute multiplication over division. It's kind of combining those two operations. So the way we can do that is we can say that 5 times 2 and 5/10 is equal to 5 times 2 plus 5/10. 5 times 2 plus 5/10, which is the same thing as saying 5 times 2 plus 5 times 5/10. Well, we know that 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 times 5/10, well, 5 times 5 is 25, and we have one decimal place, so there must be one decimal place in our answer. Remember, we talked about that today in class. So 10 plus 2 and 5/10, and that means that our answer would be 12 and 5/10. 12 and 5/10. Now, is there another way we can do this? Well, let's see. Let's look at another way. We can show partial products, which is kind of like the standard multiplication algorithm. And what we're going to do is we're going to say 5 times 5/10 is 25/10, or it's 2 and 5/10. That's 5 times 5/10. Now we need to multiply 5 times 2, which is 10, and 0/10. So that lines up, and we can add those together, and we get 5 here, decimal here, and 12 here. So see, it's just the same problem multiplied a different way. Okay, good. Let's look at another example, and this is going to use our place value patterns, and this is kind of like what we did in class today. So if I take this 8 times 1 and 35 millimeters, having a thickness of 1 and 35 millimeters, the dime is the thinnest coin produced by the United States Mint. If you stacked 8 dimes, what would be the total thickness? So it's 8 times 1 and 35 millimeters. Well, what they're going to do is they're going to multiply the top factor, 1 and 35 hundredths, times 100. Why'd they do that? They only did it in order to remove the decimal. They did it to remove the decimal. So when we have that with no decimal, it's just a regular multiplication problem, right? So we can work that out over here. 135 times 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry our 4. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 4 is 28. Carry that 2. 8 and 1 is 8, plus 2 is 10. So 1,080. But now we have to multiply times 100th to put our decimal back in place. Well, when we multiply times 100th, it's 1, 1, 2 decimal places. So our answer is 10 and 8 tenths, or 80 hundredths millimeters. So you see, all we really have to do is multiply 135 and 8 and then place our decimal point. All right, now what if we were to talk about, I don't know, money? We might want to talk about money and find out how much money we might have. So let's see if we can do a little problem-solving exercise involving money. Let's see. If a group of friends goes to a local fair, Jason spends $3.75. Maya spends 3 times as much as Jason, and Tia spends $5.25 more than Maya. How much does Tia spend? Ooh, we got lots of parts to this one. So we got to find out the answer to this in sections. This is good practice for your PRBL, by the way. So we know that Jason spends $3.75. $3.75. Well, that's just a decimal number. 3 and 75 hundredths is the same as $3.75. But Maya spent 3 times as much as he did, so we need to multiply $3.75 by 3. Well, let's do that using the tools that we've just learned. Let's just multiply it using the place value. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 7 is 21, plus the 1 is 22. Carry that 2. And 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. And we have 2 decimal places in the top, so 1, 2, it's $11.25. That's how much Maya spent. But the question is, how much does Tia spend? And Tia spent $5.25 more than Maya. So we can add $5.25. Remember, when we add decimals, we must line up the decimal points so that our numbers are aligned correctly. So let's add. 5 and 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 and 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5. There's a decimal. 1 plus 5 is 6. 1 plus 0 is 1. So our answer, Tia spent $16.50. Okay, I hope this is helpful for you. I hope that you get some practice with this and can understand what we're doing for tomorrow.